We've got a big update on the Dodgers' pursuit of Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert Jr. How all in will the Dodgers be at the deadline for these two impact players? That's coming up next on Dodgers Dugout.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
Dodgers win!
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball.
Grand slam!
It's a double for Freddie.
They're going to make big signings. They're going to make impact trades. This is the most anticipated season in Dodgers history.
Dodgers have won it all in 2020.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out. What is up, Dodgers Nation? Doug McCain here, credential member of Dodgers Media. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Now, if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor and subscribe to the #1 show, the #1 Dodgers YouTube channel, the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. Join the party, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button if you really want to support the channel. And most importantly, leave me your takes down below and comment Go Tawny down below so you're eligible for our next big giveaway at 95,000 subscribers. Getting close, working on one for 94,000, so be on the lookout for that. Also, if you have not yet, I want all your takes on the trade deadline. How all in should the Dodgers be with Garrett Crochet? Do you have any trade proposals? Are you willing to let any of the Dodgers prospects go for Luis Robert Jr. and Garrett Crochet? Let me know down below. And for all latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. So let the countdown begin, Dodgers Nation, because we are just 11 days until the MLB trade deadline. And just like every trade deadline, just like every free agency, your Los Angeles Dodgers have been linked to the biggest players that could potentially be available, that could impact who will win the World Series this year. And we've got an update on Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert Jr. of the Chicago White Sox. Pat Ragazzo of Sports Illustrated, he reported yesterday, according to sources, the Los Angeles Dodgers are heavily in on White Sox star duo Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert Jr. Could the Yankees potentially swoop in with the deadline approaching? So he's coming at it from a Yankees perspective, but it is pretty well known in the industry right now. The Dodgers are in on Garrett Crochet, and at this point, they're all in on Garrett Crochet. And the White Sox, they would like to do a package that includes Crochet and Luis Robert Jr. Now, if you watch this show for the last couple months, we've had tons of guests, tons of insiders, and I'm here to tell you that, yes, absolutely, the Dodgers are in on Crochet. You've heard it on this show before. You heard it on any Dodgers podcast, right? I predicted that they would trade for Crochet because I feel like they only are going to make a move for the big arms available, to guys that you could absolutely see getting the ball in a game 2 or a game 1 situation of a series. Because you look at outside of that, you got Gavin Stone, you got Clayton Kershaw return, you have Bobby Miller, Walker Buehler, you have other guys you could say, okay, how much of a needle mover would it take to supplant those guys? And yes, Kikuchi could do that, Jack Flaherty could do that, Eovaldi could do that, but don't kid yourself. Garrett Crochet is on a whole other stratosphere than any of those guys. Tarek Skubal is on a whole other stratosphere than any of those guys. It's not even close if we're being completely honest here. And if you look at where this rotation is, look at all the questions. Tyler Glasnow, the Dodgers opening day starter, he has been a monster through parts of the season, but you've also seen his ERA go up every single month this year to the point where he's getting a little bit of a reset. They're giving him a little bit of time off. The fastball velocity isn't down at all, but you look at Tyler Glasnow, where Tyler Glasnow is at on the season, he is close to setting a new career high in games pitched and innings pitched. Now, if you include minor leagues and the major leagues, a couple years ago he did pitch more than this, but still the point remains. He's at 109 innings through 18 starts. Through a major league regular season, his career high is 120 innings and 21 starts. So he's 3 starts away from tying that, and he's 11 innings from tying it from an innings perspective. So I still think that they're going to do whatever they need to do to make sure that Tyler Glasnow is right for the postseason. Even if he comes back and they notice something, maybe they put him on the shelf for a couple more weeks too, and they're going to do that. if that is the case. Hopefully, he's just fine. He's able to go the whole year, but they know what the end game is with Tyler Glass now. The other big question is Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He's pitched extremely well outside of that Padres game in Seoul, South Korea, where he gave 5 runs and threw 43 pitches and got taken out after an inning. Well, the latest on Yamamoto, and this comes from Dodgers skipper Dave Roberts, Yamamoto's thrown twice this past week. So he is throwing. He also said that Yamamoto's in a good spot. The Dodgers did move him from the 15-day to the 60-day IL, and that fits with the timeline of his return, which should be around August 16th. He's been on the shelf dealing with right tricep tightness, also a rotator cuff strain, however you want to define it, but still, there are no guarantees that he comes back, stays back, and pitches as well as he did before he went out with the injury. Could it happen? Absolutely. Will it happen? That's still not a guarantee. And by the time he does come back, you can't make any trades. That's it. You're already past that bridge. There is no turning back. There's no second trade deadline you can look at to try to improve the roster. It's not something you go out there and try to sign to solidify this rotation at that point. So you look at where they stand. Walker Buehler's in Florida. He still hasn't made his way back. He hasn't looked anything like the Walker Buehler that we saw from a few years ago. Clayton Kershaw is going to make a rehab start tonight for Oklahoma City. This could potentially be his last rehab start before joining the Dodgers rotation. So depending on how that goes, how he bounces back, we could see Kersh in the rotation very soon. We don't know how he's going to look. And even, is he someone you really want to thrust into being your number 2 starter? I think this is more of a, okay, we want Kersh back. We love Clayton Kershaw, but do you really want to put all your World Series eggs in that basket at this stage of his career? Is he capable of it? If he has the feel for his slider and he's got great command, sure, we could see some vintage Kershaw, but still, I don't think that is fair to put that on him where he's at. I think he wants to come back and contribute, but I think if you're truly all in on this team, you have to 100% go after a Garrett Crochet. And I predicted it a couple months ago. I said they would trade for Garrett Crochet just because I felt that he was the one high upside arm that they'd be willing to part ways with prospects for. But I got 5 reasons why the Dodgers should trade for Garrett Crochet. First reason, number 1, is pretty obvious. I pretty much laid out for you here. They need another frontline starter. They need another guy that you give the ball to in a game 1 or a game 2, and you say, go out there and dominate. And that is what Garrett Crochet has done this season better than any pitcher in Major League Baseball. And that is what plays up in the postseason. If you look at Garrett Crochet on the year, he leads all pitchers with a 3.9 FWAR, has a 3.02 ERA, a 2.44 expected ERA, a 2.36 FIP, a 2.40 FIP. His expected ERA is better than Tarek Skubal. His expected FIP is better than him too. If you look at his strikeout rate, he's at a 12.58, which is number 1 in all of Major League Baseball. So this is someone who, if he's right, he goes out there and dominates. Yes, there is the 107 1/3 innings. And people talk about the fact that he has transitioned and been stretched out to a starter from a reliever after last season, coming back from Tommy John surgery, and that took a little longer than expected. But in this day and age of Major League Baseball, where essentially 1/3 of starters are having Tommy John surgery, this is par for the course. This is almost a guarantee for a lot of guys to throw at high velocity speeds. So I'm almost more in the position where I want him now after the Tommy John versus if he had a clean bill of health his entire career, because that's when you start to get concerned. That's why you get concerned about a guy like Mason Miller, right? Because when you break, and it just takes one pitch, and then it's over for the next year and a half. So I could see it as a positive. So I think that you look at all the metrics, you look at his pitch mix, you look at the velocity. I mean, there's no reason why you would go after anyone other than Crochet if you want to swing big. If you want the highest upside, he's that guy. You look at its pitch mix. 4-seam fastball averages 97 miles per hour. Opponents are hitting 188 off of it. 188. That is in the 92nd percentile in fastball velocity. He also throws a cutter 27.4% of the time. Opponents hitting 213. Also has a slider and a changeup. But he goes with that 4-seam fastball 55.2% of the time, and opponents can't touch it. And this is an era where you're seeing less 4-seam fastball. But you look at the StatCast metrics. Pitching run value, 98th percentile. Fastball run value, 100th percentile. I don't care how nasty your slider and your curveball are, your cutter, your changeup are. Cool. There's still nothing that can touch a well-located dominant fastball that has spin, that has movement, that has run on it. The best pitch in baseball is still and always will be a well-located heater. You look at strikeout rate, 90th percentile, whip percentage, 92nd percentile. So he misses bats. Also, he doesn't walk guys in the 87th percentile and walk rate at 5.4%. So really no cons to him other than he is not below average in anything. I mean, his hard hit percentage in the 59th percentile, but still across the board. And when I had Buster Olney from ESPN on last week, he made a really good point. He's been dominating like this, pitching for what is one of, if not the worst franchise in Major League Baseball in Chicago. I had someone within the industry text me this morning that said that the White Sox and the Angels, those are the two worst franchises in Major League Baseball. And you go from the White Sox to the Dodgers, where they know pitching and how to optimize pitchers as well as any team in the world. You're going to see an even better version of Garrett Crochet. Now, the second biggest reason, he's under 2 more years of team control after this season. So if you have to give up something, if the cost is high, well, might as well get the most value you can get out of him, and you get a frontline starting pitcher for the remainder of this season, the postseason run, and 2 additional seasons. So if you look at the rotation moving forward, Walker Buehler's not going to be here most likely. Bobby Miller still has to prove that he's a big league starter. Gavin Stone, he's taken big steps in the right direction. I believe in Stone. You got Ohtani coming back next year. No one truly knows about Roki Sasaki at this point. It's a big question in the baseball world. If you get him, it'd be awesome. It'd be a major coup, but you can't rely on that. And then you got Yamamoto, you got Glass now. Will we have injuries with any of those pitchers? Yamamoto, very young, long contract. Do you think he's going to be healthy all 12 years? You just don't know. Like I said, we have tough conversations on this show. I just like to keep it 100 with you guys. So to have Garrett Crochet next year in a rotation that it can conclude, if that includes Ohtani, Crochet, Glass now, Yamamoto, Stone, just those 5 alone, even without Sasaki, got your rotation set if everyone's healthy, and you still got Bobby Miller, and you got other guys. Kershaw could come back as well, too. So there's other depth pieces. I mean, you're still out. Dustin May is going to be out. You got Emmett Sheehan's out. Gonsolin could be back, and we'll see what happens with some of those guys. But it just really solidifies it for this season. I guarantee you they're thinking about next year, but this organization, they have the focus on winning the World Series this season. And then number 3, if you want the dub, you've got to shove. I just read you his strikeout numbers. Well, if you have Garrett Crochet as your number 2 starter in a postseason series with a strikeout rate at 35.2%, that's tops among all qualified starting pitchers, then you have a Tyler Glass now. Well, that means you have the top 2 dominant strikeout starting pitchers in baseball in the same rotation, pitching for the same team, pitching in the first 2 games of a series. That's how you win in October. You dominate hitters. You mow guys down. You don't let defense play as big of a role, right? You put the ball in play, bad things can happen when nerves are elevated and guys are under pressure. Just give me a guy who can miss bats. There's nothing better than that. Then number 4, you can use him in the Andrew Miller role. What do we see from Andrew Miller back in 2016? He entered the game in the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, striking out guys, dominating hitters. You could get that same result from Garrett Crochet if he's going to pitch less innings, if he's not going to go deep into a games, if the innings count is a concern, which the Dodgers have the depth and the lead in the National League West to be able to shut him down if they want to, or use him sparingly if they think that's how you're going to optimize him. So would love to see that, and that kind of impact plays up. I mean, having a guy towards the end of a game go and face lineups in the key situations later in the ball game, that's definitely what you need. That's what we haven't had on this Dodgers team for quite some time. And then number 5, he's a power lefty. He's a dominant lefty. You get a little more balance in this rotation, and look at some of the hitters you're going to face along this postseason run. Yelich in the NLDS potentially, lefty. Bryce Harper in the NLCS, lefty. Kyle Schwarber, lefty. Juan Soto in the World Series, you never know, lefty. So it gives you a way to attack them. You face the Braves. I mean, this Dodgers team has needed a lefty because Julio Urias, we saw what happened to him, and Clayton Kershaw hasn't pitched like a Cy Young Award winner in the postseason for a long time. He was injured a couple years, but still, I mean, having some balance is definitely a good thing. And most importantly, he can dominate both sides, lefties and righties. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I've been on this hill. I can guarantee you, was the first person in Dodgerland to be on this hill with Garrett Crochet. And there's some more updates on it too. This is from ESPN. So ESPN did a piece where they pulled their insiders, Buster Olney, Alden Gonzalez, Jeff Passan, Jesse Rogers, a lot of their insiders, to ask kind of what was the buzz about during the All-Star break. And at the All-Star game, what were teams talking about? What was the buzz about? And they asked, what other intel did you hear during All-Star Week? Jeff Passan said, the immediate future of Garrett Crochet, 25, will depend on whether a contending team believes he can continue as a starter for the remainder of the season in spite of a massive innings jump. Wariness from other front offices surrounding the All-Star, who threw more innings in the first half, 107 to third, than he had over the previous 4 seasons, 73. A healthy Crochet is elite, one of the most talented pitchers in the major leagues, but the White Sox have no intentions of taking less talent in return for him because acquiring teams might want to limit him this year and fully unleash him in 2025 and 2026. Before the end of the calendar year, Crochet will be wearing another uniform. Whether it's before the end of this season comes down to a team being willing to pay the price a top starter would typically draw for 3 playoff runs. So that is what you want to hear. 1, the White Sox are going to trade him. 2, that if a team pays up and gives them the prospect capital for an elite starter, not an elite reliever, right? That's the risk you got to take. Remember, scared money don't make none, okay? So if the Dodgers are willing to go to the table with a big trade offer and they're not afraid, then look, this might be too risky for the Orioles. The Dodgers, they like risk. Tyler Glasnow, Yamamoto. Yamamoto never pitched in the show. They gave him $325 million, most lucrative contract ever for a pitcher. Glasnow, his injury issues, they traded for him, extended him. Both those guys, they gave hundreds of millions of dollars to before they ever threw one pitch for this franchise. This is not a franchise that is risk averse. And then Alden Gonzalez said the same Dodgers team that traded for Tyler Glasnow, signed Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and brought back Clayton Kershaw in the offseason is expected to be among the most aggressive teams in pursuit of high-end starting pitching this month. With Bobby Miller and Walker Buehler struggling, Yamamoto out until at least August, and Glasnow approaching his career high in innings, they have little choice. They're expected to chase only frontline starters, though, not rotation fillers, like they essentially got last year while trading for Lance Lynn. If they can't get that type of arm, they'll probably shift their focus to the bullpen. It's why someone like Crochet makes a ton of sense for them, regardless of whether or not he's a starter the rest of the year. So if you've been watching this show every day for months, you're probably saying, wow, a lot of things these insiders are saying I've heard on this show a long time ago, right? And that was they're not going to trade for a secondary guy that you might argue is not better than the guys you already have, right? Why go out to eat when the food at home is just as good? And I think Kikuchi and Flaherty and Eovaldi could bolster this rotation, no doubt about it. But the Dodgers, they want to go big if they're going to part ways with these big prospects and these big assets. So Crochet has that versatility, and you can use him in different ways. And other thing, too, if you don't get Crochet, he says a bullpen piece. So that has to be Tanner Scott. Tanner Scott makes all the sense in the world. He's under 1 year of team control with the Marlins, so he'll be available as well. They're going to be sure to trade him 100%. So all of the signs are definitely pointing to the Dodgers going all in on Garrett Crochet. I can already tell you they are, but the signs are, will they be able to get him? Now, the other big kicker here is Luis Robert Jr. Now, it has been reported that the White Sox want to move Luis Robert Jr. and Garrett Crochet in the same package. Now, what would that take? Now, I'm here to tell you that a trade package including the Dodgers' top 2 prospects, Dalton Rushing and Josue DePaula, plus Miguel Vargas, plus a Zaire Hope, plus a Justin Robleski, and a Gavin Lux, that was what it would take to get a deal done, potentially, if there's other teams that are being aggressive. Let's not forget, the Dodgers have a really, really healthy farm system, but you don't have those top 15 to 20 prospects in baseball anymore, right? Like the Orioles do. Their highest rated prospect is in the late 40s in Rushing, and then DePaul is 63rd in the top 100. And I have heard that Gavin Lux is someone that they would include potentially, and Miguel Vargas is someone they would include potentially. I've also heard that the White Sox are definitely not saying no potentially to those guys as far as someone that could be included in the deal. So I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked to see a deal where the White Sox get big league ready talent, you get young developing talent, and you get the top prospects. Because Luis Robert Jr., this is someone who's under team control for even one more year more than Garrett Crochet. And you're talking about for less than $70 million for someone that hit 38 home runs last season. And I don't understand why people are against Luis Robert Jr. He's a plus defender at a position where the Dodgers don't have an established player. He's an above average barrel rate, above average hard hit percentage, average exit velocity is always top tier. He has elite speed. He also puts up elite expected slugging numbers. He's a 30 home run guy. Ask yourself, do the Dodgers have any outfielders that you can guarantee are going to be plus defenders and hit 30 home runs and play center field? I like Andy Pages too, but I see him more as a corner outfielder in the future. So would not be surprised to see James Outman potentially included in that deal as well. I mean, the White Sox covet more of the younger prospects, but still. Luis Robert Jr., don't kid yourself. A change of scenery, another guy's in a bad situation. His bat speed is elite as well. So I would love to see Luis Robert Jr. on this team. If you watch the show, you guys know how I feel about that, because there is no established center fielders. You need to plug that position in, and sure, the batting average doesn't blow you away. He strikes out a ton, but the bat speed is something that's going to play up against the better pitching in the postseason. So 100% I would do a deal for these two. I wouldn't love to give up Dalton Rushing. Trust me, I wouldn't. He's the one guy I would like to keep, but the same token, where is he going to play? Is he going to play third base? Maybe. But he can't play catcher? No. You can't. He's not playing catcher for this team. He's not playing first base for this team. This team needs to win now. No prospect hugging. Parades over prospects. And then Andrew Friedman, he did an interview with Bill Plunkett. Of the Southern California News Group, and Friedman had this to say about the Dodgers' approach at the deadline. For us, I don't think our mentality is different than it has been in previous years, in that we feel we have a really good team, and to the extent that we can add really good players, we're going to be aggressive to do so. What appears to be a marginal upgrade is not something we are going to spend a lot of time on. That doesn't mean something is not going to happen along those lines, but that's not where our energy and focus will be. There you go. Go big or go home. That's what he's saying. He's saying we're pushing the chips in. We got to get an impact guy if we're going to part ways with some of these prospects, because we have a good team. We have talent in this organization, but we want needle movers. We want postseason performers. The triple P, proven postseason performers. And if you're not that, like a Robert Jr. or Crochet, at least guys have the potential to do just that. Because you never know how guys are going to compete in the postseason, but you definitely know that talent definitely plays up. I mean, just think of this lineup right here. Mookie at second base, hitting leadoff. Ohtani in the 2-hole at DH. Freddie batting third at first. Will Smith behind the dish, batting cleanup. Teoscar Hernandez in right field. So those are all-stars, Hall of Famers in your first five. Then Luis Robert Jr., an all-star batting sixth. We'll see what happens with Max Muncy at third. That's a big question. Andy Pages in left, and then Miguel Rojas at shortstop. So, I mean, I still think that's a ferocious lineup. That's an unbelievable lineup. And I think that it's not a stretch to think they can't pull it off. It's not a Space Jam stretch, Michael Jordan stretching his arm to think that they can't pull it off because they've done big deals in the past at the deadline. And I think that everything has changed when you signed Shohei Ohtani and he deferred the money and he did a solid to the organization. Hey, that's chop chop. I need a World Series. You need a World Series. Let's win a World Series. That is the approach for this team at the deadline. But let me know down below in the comment section, on a scale of 1 to 10, how all in are you on a Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert Jr. trade. But that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. If you really want to support the channel, hit that like button. Also, comment "Go Tani" down below so you increase your chance of winning a brand new, authentic number 17 Shohei Ohtani jersey. Remember, nothing brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.